Good morning, students. I hope you're doing well. Now, today we'll start the next topic of the first chapter, that is the Cold War era. The topic is the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, the incident took place in 1961 concerning the two superpowers, and one more country that was involved was the Cuba. Now, if you see the map of Cuba, it is situated just beside the North America, the continent North America. And USA is situated in North America. So we can say that geographically Cuba lies close to USA this side here. This is Cuba in the Caribbean islands. So it is an island country which is situated just beside USA. Now, geographically, they have proximity to USA. But when we talk ideologically, so USA is having capitalism, and Soviet Union and Cuba, they are having one ideology, that is communism. So Cuba remaining close to USA, but it is the friend of Soviet Union, because Soviet Union and Cuba, they are having the same ideology. So because of this thing, what happened in 1962 is a part of the Cold War, because in 1962 the leader of Soviet Union, that was Nikita Khrushchev, he have placed nuclear missiles in Cuba because he had fears that USA might attack Cuba and overthrow the communist leader who was appointed as the president of Cuba. His name was Fidel Castro. So these was the fears of Nikita Khrushchev, and that is why he has installed weapons in Cuba. Now, if he is installing weapons in Cuba, then the USA president, he has problems with it, because anytime he can have a nuclear war between the two countries. So when the USA's president John F. Kennedy came to know about it after 3 weeks, he actually forced the leader Nikita Khrushchev to remove the weapons from Cuba. Initially, he denied to remove the missiles and the nuclear weapons from Cuba. Then Kennedy, in retaliation or in response to this, he has surrounded Cuba. Now you can see this thing, how the Cuba was surrounded by USA. Actually, they were forcing them to remove the weapons. And later on, Nikita Khrushchev removed the nuclear weapons, and this confrontation of 35 days was resolved. Like, it was resolved after removing of the weapons. So Cuban Missile Crisis is also known as the high point of the Cold War. Now, why it is known as the high point? Because this was the time when the world believed that they will witness a third world war, because both the sides were ready with the nuclear weapons. They were about to fight, but they realized, and they did not let the Cold War to turn into a hot war. That is why it was known as the high point, where the possibility of a Cold War turning into a hot war was there. So this was about the Cuban Missile Crisis. I hope you have understood. Now the basic thing you have to keep in your mind is the three countries were involved in Cuban Missile Crisis. Three leaders were there. Cuba was turned into a base for some time, but then again the weapons were removed and it got settled. Okay, so next topic is the emergence of two power blocks. As you know it already, there were two superpowers after the end of the Second World War, USA and the Soviet Union, having their own ideologies. Now, Now, these two superpowers, they wanted to expand their influence in the world. They wanted the more number of countries in their groups. Like it happens whenever two boys are fighting with each other. What they try to do is they try to get more number of boys in their group. The larger the group, the more powerful they are. All right. So this thing was there with the countries, even USA and Soviet Union. They wanted to expand. They wanted to bring number of countries in their side. Now they have started with Europe. From Europe, they actually brought countries in their side. So actually, Europe, the whole continent was divided into two: Eastern Europe and the Western Europe. Most of the countries of the Western Europe, they had joined USA, and the Eastern European countries, they had joined the side of Soviet Union. And you have to remember some of the military alliances too. Military alliances like NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, was the military organization of USA. And when it was formed, 1949. And what was the military organization of Soviet Union? Warsaw Pact. It was formed in the year 1955. USA had more organizations like CATO, CENTO, you should know the full form. And now these military alliances is also a type of help provided to the countries. Now next, now what can be the reasons that the states entered into alliances? For smaller states, like for the European countries, why they have joined USA or Soviet Union? There are three reasons. First, promise of protection against their rivals, because they were smaller countries and they did not had well equipped weapons and machinery, so they thought that the superpowers might provide them the help in the form of weapons. Also, economic aid, money was provided to them through Marshall Plan, because after the Second World War, when the whole economy of the country is devastated, they required money to rebuild. So this money help was provided by the superpowers. Now, why the superpowers were looking for the alliances? Because of the four different reasons, like vital resources like oil, minerals, the territory from which they can launch their weapons, and locations where they can spy on each other. Also, some type of economic support. So, today, this is it. So, next, I will post the video. Till then, just go through the videos and make your notes and study properly. Thank you, students.